Welcome to Grow and Expand with Ace podcast, where we break through limitations, we heal from within, and we step into and claim our most expansive, most fulfilled, and happiest life, both personally and professionally. And now any journey of growth and expansion will at times feel overwhelming. It will feel confusing. It will feel lonely, and it will feel new, right? Because you're growing and you're expanding. And so at the very heart of the Grow and Expand with Ace podcast lies my intention to share with you all the techniques, all of the tools, all of the frameworks and strategies that I have used to grow and expand into my highest, most expansive, most fulfilled, happiest life, and to also provide you with that community and connection along the way so that you can bridge the gap with those tools and that connection and community. You can bridge the gap between wherever it is you find yourself now and wherever it is you are headed. So welcome to today's episode, where we're going to delve deep into the world of a growth mindset and mindset coaching. What it is, why we need it, and how it works. It is the number one questions that I get asked when I tell people that my Grow and Expand signature methodology has a body and part of work that is mindset coaching. They're like, what is that? What does that mean, Sharné? And so today I'm going to delve in and I'm going to explain to you what it is and how powerful it can be. But before I do that, I want to just explain and remind everyone who might be new to the podcast and who might be jumping in on today's session as a first, exactly where this piece of work sits in the greater scheme of things. So at Grow and Expand with Ace, I have created a 4-step signature methodology that allows you to create whatever vision, whatever goal, whatever heart's desire it is that you have and that you want to experience. You can create it, you can call that in, you can claim that. But unlike traditional manifestation methods that tells you visualize it and attract it from the outside in, my methodology says you grow from the inside and you create it. You grow into the version of you that claims it, then creates it. And then, of course, when you do that, you attract in all those opportunities as well, all those external realities. And so the 4 parts of work within that methodology is the envisioning part, where you're clear on your vision and you're envisioning it, what it looks like in your external world, and more importantly, what the version of you that claims and creates it looks like. What are her thoughts? What are her feelings? How does she show up? What are her attitudes? What's her relationship with failure? What's her relationship with confidence? What's her relationship with, whatever those things might be that's relevant for your vision and your goal and whatever it is that you want, that envisioning process. And then there's the inner healing component, where you heal whatever outdated old wounds, stories, and traumas it is that you are still storing inside of you that is holding you back from feeling the way that that person feels. And then you do the mindset work, which is what we're drilling in today. Last week, we delved into the inner healing side of things and how that works and how that powerfully serves to allow you to propel you forward into that vision. Today, it's the mindset work, where you can think like that person. Because when we think, we act like the person, which is step 3, the behavior, the act, but from an energetic level, where we make that final step where we embody energetically, mind, soul, spirit, emotions, nervous system, everything, that version that creates, claims, and attracts that vision in. And so that's just giving you some context today for where the body of work sits, which is obviously growth mindset and mindset coaching, and how that helps you get whatever it is that you want from the inside out. So to give you an idea of what growth mindset is, I'm going to tell you what it isn't. Sometimes I find that that's a better place to start. When we're children, 0 to 8 predominantly, we have life experiences, things happen, and we also are conditioned based on words and patterns that are played out, things that we experience, and in that time, we form a belief system. We form a belief system about ourselves, both conscious belief system and subconscious belief system. We form a belief system about others, like, for example, how safe or unsafe they might be, both consciously and subconsciously. We form a belief system about what is possible in this world and the world, both consciously and subconsciously. And this belief system is formed when we are so young, we have zero control over it. And that belief system doesn't get changed unless you do the work. It's with you. You're either fighting against it or it's running your life and you're calling it fate. And almost everything you do just reinforces your original belief system. Why? Because, we look at all events that happen in our life and we swear it happens to us. We call it fate. But we are hardwired with these subconscious and these conscious belief systems that then means when there's an event, we extract these beliefs out and apply them and relate, like we predict almost that event, right? So we have thoughts about the event, like, is this good? Is this bad? Is this dangerous? Is this safe? Is this proper? Is this not proper? Will this mean I'm liked? Will this mean I'm not liked? Whatever, you get the gist. And based on those thoughts that then gets triggered, based on our belief systems that we are very much unconscious of unless we're willing to look and do the work, which is so profound, highly recommend. We then have these thoughts. Our thoughts directly dictates an emotional response, like an emotion arises, right? And it correlates with the thought and the quality of the thought and the nature of the thought. So if I think a thought that's like unsafe, it's going to be fear that I'm going to feel. And so now I've got a double whammy. I've got a subconscious belief that says that's dangerous. I've got a thought that now has linked into an emotion. Now I'm feeling the danger. I'm backing out. Behavior is the last one then. So then we behave directly correlated consistently with that thought that was based on our subconscious belief and conscious belief system, like they both. That's led to the emotion that then leads to our behavior, that then leads to the outcome, which only realized based on our very subconscious and conscious belief systems. So we've created it, which is why we keep reinforcing it, which is why we keep swearing this is the way it is and this is the truth, and it is not the truth. It isn't. It never, never, never is. It's not the only truth. There are so many other opportunities. There are so many other perspectives. There are so many other belief systems once you get into this stuff, and we're going to talk about it later. There are so many other ways to view things, right? And if you're closed-minded to growth mindset coaching work, you're essentially accepting that the belief system that you were handed based on your family upbringing and your direct sort of school environment, community, like maybe church or other religious groups, and perhaps the society that you were born in. Like I'm raised in South Africa, so obviously there's some belief systems there. You're essentially saying, I'm happy with that. That serves. That's going to serve me and the life I'm leading and where I'm heading and what I want. Because that's where it got frozen in time, and then we kept reinforcing. And this is where you sort of think about, notice an area in your life where you consistently see the same pattern play out and out and out again, right? It might be leaving job after job after job after job, thinking that it's the job, not you, and the right job is out there. It might be failed relationship after failed relationship, or attracting relationships that don't serve you, that don't meet your needs, that don't show up for you. Right underneath that is beliefs of not worthiness, not deserving, not good enough. Think of patterns where you swear you're just going to do this thing and then you're going to step down in your business. Not step down, like calm down. You're going to start taking it easier, taking it lighter on yourself. You're going to start finding that balance. And then, okay, just this thing. And then there'll just be this thing. Oh, and it's just this thing in my life. And like, it's a pattern, right? But you kind of never get there. So all these patterns that plays out, and everyone will have different patterns and different ways that I suppose it relates to them. A really big thing that I also see in a lot of clients is they lose significant relationships. and they can't understand why or how, and is it them, and the agony they spend in trying to figure it out when that's irrelevant. Well, not irrelevant, but it's not the piece that's going to really reveal the answers to you and where it's coming from. Whatever pattern it is that you see play out in your life very much lies in a belief system that you formed either about yourself, about others, about the world, or about things in the world when you were 0 to 7, 0 to 8, that has been reinforced over time and time and time again. And the beauty of this body of work, especially when we work with one goal or one vision, right, is to extract out, obviously, the belief systems that is just directly correlating to the goal or the vision that it is, and looking at those single-handedly. And so in that way, I'm going to explain to you some of the kind of like subconscious beliefs that every single one of us carries in some way, shape, or form. And the question when you're doing this work is, when you extract these beliefs, you're kind of asking yourself, does this belief serve me? Does it make me happy? Does it feel good? Is it expansive? Is it what I actually believe? Because the amount of times I see the aha moments in my clients where they pull out the beliefs and they're like, oh, like, I don't even believe that. And I'm like, I know it's your subconscious. Like, a part of you does, a part of you did. And it's a really big part and a really big, powerful part. I think it's like 95% of all of our thoughts, actions, and emotions are dictated by our subconscious, not our conscious thoughts. It's our subconscious thoughts that drives these things. And so, extracting them out, you get that opportunity to say, does this serve? Or does it not serve? And if it doesn't serve, let's look at it and let's reframe it and let's rewire it and let's rework this thing in a way that serves, that I actually believe is true, right? Because that also feels much better than having this belief running around that that isn't true, that you don't even believe on a cognitive level. So some beliefs that I had to work through personally were beliefs that I hurt other people when I express my own wants, needs, and desires. Okay, as a little girl, I grew up with a narcissistic father. I've spoken about him on the podcast before. I'm going to keep speaking about him on the podcast because a lot of us either have a parent that is narcissistic or displays narcissistic traits. I, up until this journey of mine 5 years ago, displayed a hell of a lot of narcissistic traits. And I've had the grace with myself to just allow that to be, but I can equally at the same time acknowledge that for other people, that has had consequences unintendedly, and no different to my father to me. And so when you grow up with someone who literally in their truth and in their reality gets hurt when you speak a truth that's yours, and they then shame you and they then guilt you and they try to do whatever they can to keep you from saying this thing that they don't want to hear, that's not in their truth, the pattern that plays out is it's me speaking my truth, my individuality, my wants, my needs, my desires, that hurts this person. And that was a really, really big one for me to work through, that obviously someone speaking their truth cannot hurt another person. And if that person knew their own truth and was confident in it, you would just disregard what was said if it wasn't true. And if it was true, you would have the inner confidence and skills to then go, that's okay, so now I've learned it. And so what am I going to do next year? Does that serve? And what's my next step? All good. And so that was a really kind of key core belief, that I hurt others. And I hurt them particularly when I speak my truth and when I speak in a growth and expansive manner. Another one that a deep belief that was deeply rooted in me and that led to my burnout eventually was, I have to prove my worthiness. So underneath that is, I'm not worthy just as I am. And so that subconscious core belief would forever when I'm having a moment of downtime, or I'm laughing, or I'm enjoying myself, or I'm doing something that feels good to me, the belief would get triggered that there's an unworthiness piece there, and then the thoughts would come, and then the emotions would come of kind of like the shame around that, or that fear of rejection. And that fear, it was probably more a fear-based one, and all of a sudden I would just be doing, right? Like I would jump up and like I would do more work, do it to better quality, do it for everyone. I would try to please you and please you. And there were times in my own house where, I would sit and read a book and kind of feel guilty about it. And my husband would pull in and I'd put the book down and I would jump up and I would start cleaning, as if I'm not worthy to sit down and read a book after a bloody hard day at work, as if I'm not worthy of sitting down and reading a book, right? And so let me see if there's another kind of core belief that I want to extract that's very common for my clients, and then also obviously that was really relevant for me. Probably the core belief that it's bad to speak out, that it's bad to speak the truth, that it makes you evil, harmful, dirty, nasty, shameful, like whatever. Like that belief that it makes you bad, that you are bad for speaking out, is a belief that is so commonly shared amongst every person I've ever worked with, including myself. And it kind of goes back to that same point that I spoke about at the start, which is this happens in life where you speak out about a truth in hopes for it to get better and improve, and the person you're speaking out to wants to keep the current status quo over that, or the secret over it, or whatever it may be. And so how they respond hurts you, and you form a belief that it's the speaking out that hurt. And so forever in life, you kind of walk around wanting to speak, wanting to express, but you don't. Or sometimes you've completely blocked that bit off inside of you and you will not feel at all, because that might mean you want to speak and express, and that hurts. And so anyways, these are just some examples. Obviously, there are so many limiting beliefs. There are so many core beliefs that we all carry. Another really big limiting belief in business is I've got to work incredibly hard and I've got to hustle with everything I can to be able to make money. And nothing can be further from the truth. That limiting belief can just be taken, scrapped, and thrown in the bin, but you'll only be able to do that for you if you do the work. I make more money now than I ever made owning a law firm, and I work 25 hours a week, right? Money that is cash in pocket. So that belief can be scrapped. The belief in work, particularly if you're a boss, if you're a leader, that if I give this, no one can do it as well as I can, or I can't trust someone to do it. That's another really big limiting belief that people have, that I've had to work through with them. That comes from when you were a child and you needed help in certain areas and you looked around and they weren't safe adults, parents, or leaders that were helping you. And for that moment in time, it was true. It felt like it was all on you, and in that way it was. But then you reinforce this over life by making yourself over effective, right? And by then those around you, almost by you being over effective, they step back. And as they are stepping back, you're like, see, it is all on me. When no, it's your own belief system that allowed you to act in a way, to have thoughts, so that you acted in a way that then created an external circumstance. It's not a global truth. And so getting back to the point, we have these subconscious beliefs, and that triggers these conscious thoughts when an event happens, and then it directly leads to an emotion that leads to an action that leads to an outcome, and we'll swear black and blue that this is fate when we have self-prophesized the outcome time and time and time and time again. And so how do you do mindset coaching work, right? So you get that vision, you start getting into those limits, you start getting into those blocks, and you start, the coach or the guide, whoever's doing this work with you, starts asking you questions, and it's all going to be dependent on your relationship with certain topics and certain things. And as they fire questions off at you around your relationship and your perception and your perspective around certain things, obviously depending on this vision or this goal, you'll have so much writing on a piece of paper. And I'll ask you one thing. Look at all of this. What's the number one core belief you see in all of that is evident in every single element? And that moment that penny drops for you where you're like, holy shit, there is one core belief that I can see in absolutely every single thing here, is the moment that I do what I do for. It's the moment where I get goosebumps, you get goosebumps, and your life starts changing. You start transforming. You have just elevated so close to whatever your goal and vision and dream and desire is, because you have got the number one core belief. The other question I ask you is, so like, what's the core belief around, and then you'll either pick a core belief that you'll see about others, but then I'll say, cool, what's that core belief then about you? What does that say about you? And what does that say about the world? Right? And they're all intertwined. And then I'll go a little bit deeper, and we'll delve into this in the next session a bit more. I go, what's the number one fear? What's your number one fear? And in that way, we have just lifted from your subconscious the shit that has been running your car, running your life, running the show, and you have just sworn this is the way it's meant to be when it just isn't. And when we get that, we start a process, right? And there's lots of different ways to do that process, but it goes something a little bit like this. Is this truth? No. It'll always be no. No. Is this always the truth? No. 0 to 10. On average, for you, how truthful has this been looking over your life? Cool. 0 out of 10 when looking to others, because these truths, obviously, if you say it's a truth, it must be true for everyone, right? How much truth is in this? Does this serve you? Yes or no? No. Because the ones that do, great, we'll leverage them. We're not here to talk about the ones that serve. We're here to talk about the ones that don't serve. So does this serve you? No. How does this hold you back, and what does that mean for you? How does that hold or impact others that you're being held back? What does that stop you from? What is that taking from you? What are alternatives from a perspective of love, of growth, of expansion? And once you go through this process, you are essentially getting to the root subconscious thoughts. Money, that's a big thing, money. People's relationships with money, people's limiting beliefs around money. Can't believe this didn't come into my mind earlier. It must just come in now for a reason. The belief system as a society and as a culture that we hold when it comes to money is not good. Not good. And it's belief system. So we have subconscious beliefs that dictates how we think, that dictates how we feel, that dictates how we act. That means we get those results that keep us exactly where we are. Okay. By the time you've done the rewiring process, it's truth in your mind. Cool. Is it truth in your emotional body? Not if you haven't done that inner healing piece of work. Is it truth in your body energetically? Energy is probably not in your body, but whatever. Is it energetically truth for you? Not if you haven't done the energy work, but in your mind, it is truth because you've done the brain side of the process. So that overwhelm, like you'll never wonder again. You'll see it play out. You'll remind yourself, boom, good to go. Closer and closer and closer and more in alignment towards your goals. So it is such a powerful part of the puzzle to be able to see these subconscious beliefs for what they are. They served beautifully for a purpose in time, and there's such a wonderful reason why they've started and what's led to them, but they don't necessarily reflect accurately the truth. They don't necessarily reflect something that serves your values or what you believe or where you're headed or your goals. And in fact, sometimes it can be very harming and damaging to you first and foremost. And so then through that rewiring process, it's just beautifully phenomenal, how quick people move and how quick people shift and how quick they escalate into whatever goals or visions it is that they have. And a lot of the coaches out there call it quantum leaping, but it's essentially having a very concentrated view of what's the biggest thing you want, delving into the biggest mindset blocks and getting there. How does that person think? What are their attitudes? What do you think their attitudes should be, right? What's their thought relationship with failure? What's their thought relationship with pain? What's their thought relationship with abundance? What's their thought relationship with love? And what's yours? And then pull it out and rewire it. And now you're thinking like that version. You're feeling like that version because you've done the inner healing work. Half the time, the vision's there. The question is, can you enjoy it yet? The question is, can you enjoy the vision even when you have it? And that we will discuss more in next week's podcast. That's going to be all about energetics. Because very, very often in life, what happens is we've got our vision, right? Think of how many times you have set a goal for yourself or a vision for yourself. And, it obviously wasn't so far out of the realm of possibility that you needed to do the inner work and the mindset work to make it a reality. It was closer in kind of your current reality framework and wherever it is that you're at that you could bring that in. But how many times did you not it was unfulfilling? You're moving on to the next, without even stopping for a second and really feeling it. And that's because you'll definitely have a couple of limiting beliefs around that. And you will absolutely have a couple of emotional inner child healing wounds around that, probably that you only got praised when you were having the very high performance, got that very exceptional outcome, and great, now it's done. You had your 10 seconds of love and appreciation and praise, and so next, go for the next one, because then you'll get it again, and go for the next one, you'll get it again. And so your mindset might have, your subconscious belief system might be like, cool, I'm only worthy when I'm performing, when I'm achieving. And so the energetics we're going to talk about next week is going to be so exciting because it allows you to, even when you have that vision, so many people lose it or they literally don't even appreciate it and they just shift past to the next one because they have not embodied the person that can feel everything it is that underneath it all they truly desire from that very vision and that very goal in the first place. So today, I'm so grateful that you've joined me and you've learned why and how you can become the person that thinks like the version of you that brings your vision in. Last week, we spoke about how you can feel and embody emotionally and make room for the emotions for the person who feels like the person that brings the vision in. Next week, we're going to talk about the energetic side of things. And after that, I'm truly excited because then we're going to delve into some really cool concepts around what actual issues are that we all face. And through a blend of all of these foundational matters through each topic, and we're going to weave it in and we're going to learn so much and we're going to grow so much and we're going to expand so much. But that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, if you enjoyed this and it resonated, like it, subscribe and share it. The more people that can hear about this, the better. The more people that can have those tools, have the community, have the connection, and can have that ability to go somewhere when they feel alone or overwhelmed, obviously the better for everyone. I appreciate you co-creating with me in this podcast, and I wish you a wonderful week ahead. All my love, Sharné.